All right, what is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another video, man. And in today's video, I am going to be talking about the whole concept of imposter syndrome as a South Asian man. And when it comes to imposter syndrome, this is something that many South Asians often face. I think back to growing up, right? And don't get me wrong, I did not have it as bad as a lot of other South Asians did, right? But nevertheless, there were definitely times where I was often compared to other family members, right? Other relatives, other friends, family friends, when it came to areas such as, just academics and lifestyle habits and responsibility. Going to a high school that had a lot of overachievers, straight A students, kids who were getting into Ivy Leagues. Especially as a South Asian guy, you were pressured really compared to other South Asians, other Asians out there. It was a constant battle of who got into the better college, who was more overachieving, people trying to one-up each other within, specifically the Asian and South Asian communities in my high school. It was just who got the better grades, who got into the better school, who was doing this and that, who was involved in what clubs and so on. And it was almost like just because you were an Indian guy, right? People expected so much out of you. This imposter syndrome. They expected you to be, a really smart student, a straight A student, getting into, Ivy Leagues, right? When you're a South Asian guy, people thinking that you have to be, super smart, 4.0 student who eventually becomes like a doctor or an engineer, right? And then ultimately, this was something that was carried on really throughout college as well, when it was like everybody always expected, the Asian or the South Asian kid to be this guy who becomes a doctor or an engineer, right? Super successful 4.0 student. And it's almost as if when you don't meet those standards, you kind of just get looked down upon, And I think this is something that a lot of people who are Asians and South Asians really struggle with. It's the fact that society and even parents sometimes and relatives and peers even expect this gigantic, huge standard for you. They expect you to be super overachieving. And when you don't achieve it, right, it's almost like you get looked down upon and you're like a disgrace, right? You're a disgrace for not graduating at the top of your class. You're a disgrace for not being a doctor or an engineer. You're a disgrace for not having that 4.0 GPA, not doing exceptionally well. It's like just because you're not a doctor or you're not going for an engineer degree, people look at you like you're weird. Just because you don't have a 4.0 GPA or you might not be the strongest student. A lot of people look at you like you're weird, like you're an imposter, like you don't belong with this community of people, even though you were born up, your race, your roots are South Asian. When you don't necessarily align with all these certain expectations, with all these certain customs, people look at you like you're crazy, right? And my best advice, for a lot of other South Asians and Asians even that are just going through this is at the end of the day, I always preach that as a man, you have to do your best to bring some type of value to the world, right? Bring that value to the world. And when you really excel with it and run with it and start to get recognized, that is when you know that you have lived and are living a fulfilling type of life. I'm not saying to aim low and have something low as your value, but at the end of the day, right? As long as you are helping other people and providing that value and people are finding you useful, you have made it, in life. Don't be comparing yourself to, what your parents expect you to do, what your friends expect you to do, what society that label that society kind of has on you as an Asian and a South Asian, how you have to be a doctor or an engineer. you ultimately have to do what makes you happy, where you can thrive and really run with it. Whatever skill set that is. It might not be a doctor or an engineer or a mathematician and whatnot. It might be something else that you really excel in, man. It might be a business idea that you have that you excel in. Maybe helping other people, right? Like how I do on my YouTube channel. Maybe there's some other hobby that you've been putting aside but you're really passionate about. You know, you really need to find and ask yourself what you're truly passionate about, because at the end of the day, in order to be successful at whatever, if you're not passionate about something, if you don't enjoy doing what you do, if there's anything I learned, man, it's the fact that you will never get from point A to point B if you don't truly if you don't truly love what you're doing. You can only go so far, because when you truly love what you're doing, when you truly love the value that you're giving and you're really passionate about it, right? When you really break free from that imposter syndrome, that is when you truly start to make those strides in your life, man. And the biggest thing that you have to realize, with this imposter syndrome is ultimately you have to do what makes you happy, and it's going to be tough for a lot of Asians and South Asians out there, a lot of Indian guys out there. And I was lucky not to be part of this boat, right, of people. I didn't have, all these relatives that were super competitive to the point where they start looking down on you if you're not, a doctor or an engineer, or not necessarily on par with other people academically. But a lot of South Asians definitely, they don't have that great of a support system, right? Especially with, their family always wanting, certain expectations, becoming a doctor or an engineer, or you have to do X, Y, Z, or you're considered a failure. And it's very, very tough, right? So even, with friends too, always one-upping each other, comparing each other, seeing who's better, who's more successful. But at the end of the day, my biggest advice, right, in dealing with this imposter syndrome is really to tune out what other people kind of expect from you. Stop comparing yourself to other people and really do what makes you happy, man. Really find that skill set that you can really bring value to the world in, whatever it may be. Whether it be, maybe it is being a doctor, maybe it is being an engineer, or maybe it's something different. Maybe you want to become a content creator. Maybe you want to become a content creator and create a community and provide value through lessons you've learned through business. Maybe you want to start that YouTube channel. Maybe you want to start your own business that has absolutely nothing to do with science, technology, engineering, math, or whatnot. Whatever it is, man, you have to find that value and absolutely run with it and enjoy what you're doing. As long as you bet on yourself and know that you can provide that value in the world, you can shatter that imposter syndrome, man. So my biggest advice is go with what you're passionate about. The journey isn't always going to be a straight line. There's going to be ups and downs. Yeah, you might get people that hate on you. Your friends might not understand why or what you're doing, why you're doing it. Your family might look down on it as well. But at the end of the day, there is truly nothing stopping you from getting to where you want to go but yourself, man. And once you take that risk and bet on yourself and find that value, find that skill set that you can provide to the world, go all in, man. You'll be able to shatter that imposter syndrome, those expectations that society has on you, At the end of the day, don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself only to yourself. And really take that risk and bet on yourself, because we all provide value in different ways. There's no one standard way to provide it. You just have to find that skill set and absolutely run with it, man. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helped for those of you that might be struggling, needed some source of motivation / discipline, or might be going through this imposter syndrome where society expects you to do X, Y, and Z, maybe become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, but you're really not passionate about it, right? At the end of the day, You control your life, man. Don't let other people control it for you. Anyways, that is it for today's video. Like, comment, subscribe, drop a comment below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.